Hi, this is Cousin Russ. I'm going to do some more office hours, and I'm going to give an update on what I've been doing on the 1950 census. Uh, just as just a progress report. But as I have asked before, if you would just let me know where you're watching from, and if you are a user of the Family Tree Maker program, because that is what I will be talking about. And there's some more detail uh, in the playlist, the office hours playlist of about what I'm trying to do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you wish, and make sure you're getting notifications, and on the bell for notifications select all, so that when I go live you will be notified that I am going to be going live, or that I have scheduled a live stream. So I also have a blog, ftmuser.blogspot.com, uh, that is in the playlist description. Okay, so let me get myself off the screen and let me start my presentation. I'm doing this just to give an update about what I've been doing with Family Tree Maker. And let me get this scroller off. Okay, here we go. It says observations, and that is true, but it's also just an update. Here's my process that I went through and been working on for the past several months. And actually, I started a year ago, but I not doing it all full time because I had a year to get ready, right? So, but I did learn early on that what I needed to do was get the most recent address. If I could find an address for someone, and it may be from city directories, it may be from military records, it may be from the 1940 census. And when I had an address, I created a residence fact. This became very important, and I'm so glad I did this, because then I'll explain the advantages. But I explain any time that I know where somebody lived, I use the residence fact. It may be an obituary that said the son is from such and such place in obituary. I will put that as a residence fact. So I track and create a timeline of where the person lived. It may or may not have an address, but that's not important yet. But so I have a residence fact, and I specifically use the official date for the 1950 census, which is April 1st, 1950. I utilized the One Step website, where I was able to determine, based on the address that I had, the most recent address, that I had an enumeration district. And I put that in the description for the residence fact dated April 1st, 1950. Nothing is in the place field. Uh, so all I have is the date and the ED number, and I have a link in the citation for that information. I have a link back to the Steve Morse website, so I can get back to where I should be able to find the record. That fact was private and preferred. Private meaning that nobody could see it if they went to an Ancestry member tree and looked, and preferred so that the reports that I can generate based on the 1950 April 1st, 1950, it shows up on the report as preferred, and it is private again. And I will tell you what I do from there. So I also created my initial filter. This is a feature family tree maker, and I wanted to filter and identify who I should be able to find in the 1950 census. I started by including all persons. I have demonstrated this several times in several other recordings, so I will not do it here, but I included all persons. Then I filtered out anyone whose birth date was before 1949. So I may get a couple people on my list, but that's okay. I wanted to get rid of anybody who had a death date who was before 1949. I also then filtered out anybody whose birth date is after 1950. As I mentioned before, I use the residence fact a lot. So if I have no residence fact, I filter them out. If I do not have an address, I filter them out. This will give me a list of people who I should be able to find. Now, this is uh, the low hanging fruit, the people that are going to be easy to find, but that's what I want to accomplish. I did a status report a couple weeks ago, and just going to review this. This is April 4th, so I've been working with the information that was available on the NARA website, uh, and what I had in my database was 262 profiles. With that filter feature, I should be able to find 104 of them. As of April 4th, I had found 61 people so far. That's where I was. I've added 5 new profiles, meaning the records that I found, I was able to add 5 new people to my file. And to be found was 23. So I still had some work to do. One of the things that happened to me is that I had 2 households that totaled 11 people, but they had moved. And I'll demonstrate how I believe that I proved that, at least in my mind so far, that the 2 households had moved. What that ends up with in the filter feature and the sorting and marking the residence fact as a preferred gives me a working list. Now, I know you can't read the working list. That's not important, but it does show you that I have using the residence fact, and there's the ED numbers and what I found. And like the third one here, the third, this group right here, they were not at uh, 76 Spring Street. Um, so this is the kind of notation, and by making the 1950 fact, residence fact is preferred, that allows me to, in the report, to specify preferred only. So that's how I can do this, and I can sort this any way that I want to. But here's a group, for an example, that were not at 76 Spring Street. So I'm going to now focus on 76 Spring Street to uh, see what's going on. So uh, I started with the address, and I got that address from the 1940 census. I had not found any more recent addresses so far, and the address in the 1940 census was 76 Spring Street. When I went to the stevemoores.org website and determined the enumeration district was 33 67. The bad news is that when I looked at the census record, it said no one was home. So that what I wanted to then go back and double check to make sure I had the ED right. And so I went to the stevemorris.org website, and there's a way to look at a map. And there is the enumeration district. Oh, if I go to the right screen, there's the enumeration district. There's Spring Street, and there's Summer Street uh, right there. So this is the enumeration district where 76 Spring Street is, according to the enumeration district map. So I went over to Google Maps, and it's telling me the same thing. There's winter, and there's winter, there's summer, there's spring. You think I made this up? No, didn't have to. So when I looked at the image for the address, there's Spring Street, there's 76 Spring Street, and no one is home. But the good news is it says C72 lines 28 and 29. So I went to sheet 72 on in this enumeration district, and here is the entry 76 Spring Street. You notice it says 59. That this is the dwelling serial number is what is in this column, 7979. So I am looking at the information that the numerator took for that home. And if you look at the names, that's not the family that I'm looking for. Now, you may see a problem here where it says 28 and 29, but I'm looking at 6 or 7, 8, and 8, 8 to 10 or 11. Uh, I went through the whole page, and 7 or 28 and 29 was not this information. So I, to the best of my ability at this point in time, uh, that a different family is in that household. So my conclusion for 76 Spring Street is that they moved. Just to quickly review the what I have done, I had the residence fact of April 1st. I have the residence fact marked as private, as I showed you on the screen. Well, you can't see the fact that it's private. It's private because I don't want it on the Ancestry member tree, but it does include the ED number. And what I have been doing with that is adding notes as I found them, like the example that I used. I said not at 76 Spring Street. I marked them as private so that I can pull a report based on the preferred residence fact, and it will just give me those that I have found and those that I have not found. When I find the household or the person in the census, I use the residence fact description as I normally would do. I get rid of the ED number because ED number will be in the citation, and what I put in the residence fact description from a census record specifically is the age colon relationship to head of household, because that's the only place where after 1860 where you'll find the relationship to head of household. So I put it in the residence fact description. It's a couple reminders. First of all, I can tell without looking at the details that filled in description field says that that came from a census record. So I remove the ED number, fill out the residence fact description as I normally would, and then I remove the fact being private so that the residence information for 1950 will be put on the Ancestry member tree. Okay, so that's what I have done. Now here's an update. Now this was 2 days ago, but that's okay. I didn't have any time to work on it yesterday. So here is where I started. The last time the April 4th update, I had added some people already, but I went back to the beginning and I started with 257 profiles. At that time, I expected to find 55 people in the 1950 census. As of today, well, the 13th, I had gained some people, 274 profiles, and looking at that filter feature, I expect to find 119 people out of 274. To date, I have found 89 people. So I'm getting there. And to be found, I've got 25 more people to find. So that's where I am. And I want to just talk about going forward a little bit. What I just basically reviewed is how I captured the low hanging fruit. Now I'm just going to make a couple comments of what, how I'm moving forward to get that not so low hanging fruit. I see that somebody has joined the live stream. If you would leave in the chat where you're watching from, and if you're a user of the Family Tree Maker program, would appreciate that. So my not so hanging fruit. I focused on getting addresses, and that certainly helped. But as I reviewed each of those profiles that I started with and have added since, uh, hi, Statesman, welcome back from Minnesota. Um, so as I reviewed each of the profiles, I made notes in the to-do list, information that I have and what I don't have. Like if I know when somebody was born and there were several censuses in the past, I would make a notation, a to-do item individually, uh, census 1920. If it's not complete, that means that I don't have it, and I see it on the people workspace person view. So I can see that's where I do all of my work when I'm looking for information. That's exactly where I am. Uh, but I noted what census records I had. I made notation on census records. If I had it, I didn't do anything. But if I picked up the census record, then I could do a check mark and show it complete. So I worked off of the 1940 census records if I didn't have any information. So it's on my to-do list, and I focused on census records because I wanted to find addresses. If the census record had a address, I did a web merge, and I have done a number of blog posts on doing that. The other thing that I knew became important, and the filter, when I set up the filter feature, it really helped because what I wanted to make sure that I had a death date if that was appropriate. So I made notes about I don't have a death date. Uh, if I was looking at the person, I don't have a death date, I might see what hints that person might have. And early on, I would merge that information uh, if it was available to me. The other thing that has become far more important is the married females, because uh, they now would have two or more surnames to be looking for. And if they were married, I might look for the spouse's surname, or where that spouse might have been in a census record that I may not have picked up. So married females, I focused on what I have and what I don't have, and the marriage date. If I There's reports in Family Tree Maker to give me everybody who I don't have married dates on. My rule of thumb is I don't normally track that, but that became very important. And the data error report really became helpful of what females I don't have a marriage date for. So has become more important, and I'm focusing on uh, that, getting dates, and if they were married. Uh, Using the NARA website, there's a number of ways to do searches on the NARA website. For an example, that 76 Spring Street that I talked about a little while ago, I have actually found where the family moved to. They didn't move very far, and I could tell by the family and the information that I had that the family didn't move very far. Uh, but the NARA website helped me do that, because what I did is I searched for the city, but they moved uh, within the same county, which was two different databases on the NARA website. The fan club, friends or family, acquaintances, and neighbors. Uh, who were they living with? Uh, what other information did I have? And this is those 25 people that I haven't found yet. Uh, Another user from Minnesota, welcome. Uh, and I'm glad you use Family Tree Maker. If you are just joining, I'm doing an update on where I stand on my 1950 U.S. federal census. So when the recording is done, which will be shortly, you can go back and see where I started from and where I am. Um, so I have 20 some odd people that I am currently looking for. Uh, and they're not my low hanging fruit, because I've got most of them. So this is the reviewing of what I have and what I don't have, to find out where those families are. And I also realize, let me finish the fan club. There may be information from a family member of the person that I'm focusing on that may help me find where my person may have gone to. Uh, for an example, an in-law or a cousin or a brother or a sister or a sibling may have moved. Did that person move with them? So the fan club. I do recognize that uh, there are some people on that list that I won't be able to find until we have the search engine available from Family Search and Ancestry. Um, but I have a list that I can, if I know that a state has just been opened up on the indexing on Family Search or Ancestry, I know who's in that state that I'm looking for, and I can then search. So far, I'm pretty happy with where the status is. I'm where I think I should have been um, at this point in time. Uh, 2 weeks after the release of the census records, I've got 80, 90, almost 90 uh, people in the database that I expected to find that I have found. I know where they are. Um, but I'm going to continue to do what I've just described, uh, and um, I there's some that I won't be able to find, especially those that I've proven to myself that they moved. That I will need a search engine to be able to find them. Hope that was helpful. I will probably do another update on uh, this project. Um, I know several of you have already let me know that you're a user of the Family Tree Maker, and let me know where you're viewing us from. Don't forget that I have a blog, ftmuser.blogspot.com, and there is a office hours playlist that I have a description about what I'm trying to do with this YouTube channel. Please, if you wish, subscribe to this YouTube channel and make sure your notifications are on, because when I live stream, I try to give 2 hours notice because I am not on a schedule uh, that you'll get a notification. Hi, Randall. Good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. Um, this is a YouTube channel, and so you can stop and pause and go back and watch what you may have missed. If you have any questions, please leave it in the chat or comments after the live stream. I do try as quickly as possible get back to those comments and reply on YouTube. Okay, thank you very much and have an awesome day.